Hey there, 918ers. It is Geek Boy, and I want to welcome everyone to our cooking show. No, that's not it. In case you hadn't guessed, that it was just simply little mirth there on the part of Fanboys 918. That's right. In all truth and reality, I'm actually coming to you live from the ultra secret, secure, and always socially distant fan cave located in parts unknown right here in the 918. And I want to say how great it is to be here for our April Fool's Day installment of Season 3 of this fantastic week, a live program where we digest, discuss, pontificate, and ruminate on the biggest genre and fandom news stories from the past week. I want to thank every one of our... Yeah, that's right. That's right. Want to apologize to anyone who saw our April Fool's joke today about Russell Crowe and Mel Gibson. They are not making Lethal Weapon 5, nor are they going to be part of the Lord of the Rings show, at least not as far as we know anyway. We tried to find one that maybe would be kind of obtuse that people wouldn't lock onto immediately. And of course, I was rewarded for that by Mr. Narwhal immediately busting it as an April Fool's joke. Yeah. So anyway, that's right. That's right. So I want to thank every one of our 500 plus followers who tuned in for tonight's broadcast. As always, we certainly hope you enjoy the show tonight. And always, we want all of your comments, even if you're watching after the fact, time shifted. Go ahead and leave a comment if one occurs to you. We do get notifications of that, and we will do our best to respond. If you do enjoy what you see, please leave a like and share this video. Also, if you are so inclined, please jump over to our YouTube page and like and subscribe to it as well. And wow, Mr. Narwhal is having trouble over there.
I had to let the cat out.
Oh, it let the cat out. Okay. Also, that's right. And that is not an April Fool's joke. That's truth, folks. He had to let the cat out. Also, if you're so inclined, please jump over to our YouTube page and like and subscribe to it as well. We're trying to grow our presence on that platform. One of the things we've done is we've migrated, or we're in the process of migrating 918 night crawlers over there. So again, not totally there yet, but we're getting there. But help us grow our presence there if you can. So with all that being said, and with all that being plugged and chilled, and without the Snyder Cut sucking every last bit of oxygen out of the room that is there, we still have a lot of ground to cover tonight, and I have not one, not two, but three invaluable co-hosts helping me out tonight. First up on the mic, the Mozart of Microsoft, the desktop Dr. Feelgood, and just recently the fully ordained high priest of high tech. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. It is His Eminence, the Reverend IT Geek, in the chat room tonight.
Yeah, all right. Welcome, everybody. Appreciate everyone joining in tonight and listening to us. I'm going to take a moment to plug a little bit more of our other streams of information or programming. If you can't get enough of us and seeing us and everything, we do post our Talking Geek panels on Apple's podcast. You can find us under Fanboys 918. We recently just released episode 1 of our Zack Snyder's Justice League review, our first virtual summit, second annual, or would it still be considered annual since we...
I always call it annual. We missed one last year, but you know,
So
a lot of shit got missed last year.
First virtual summit, but always a good time, especially with the number of people we got to join us that weekend. And it's always a good time to get together, discuss, and and just see everyone virtually or hear everyone virtually and have a good time.
Absolutely. Some people would say that just listening to us is the best way because we have voices for TV, but faces for radio. I mean, that's 100%. And unless you're my second co-host. And he's second only in introductions because he is the combo move kingpin, the drone camera Dolomite, the gamer with the golden throat. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. The magnificent Mr. Goldar is in his house tonight.
Hope everybody's having a good night out there. We got a great show for you coming up. So I'm glad you guys could join us.
Exactly. Now, Nightcrawlers drops a new episode this week. Is that right?
Yes, drop a Nightcrawlers episode every late Saturday night, early Sunday morning. I'm currently playing God of War, which is the 2018 remake, or actually, it is actually a different story. See, the original God of War mostly focused on Greek gods, but this newer God of War is focusing on the Norse gods. So we
West
are
gods or the South gods, South side gods.
That's right.
Yeah. That joke didn't work. I forget it. Don't even try to help me out. It didn't work.
I was trying to dig that hole, man. I was like,
I know. You're trying to help me dig me out. Yeah.
Bless you.
But we focus with Kratos and his son Atreus as they journey up the mountain to scatter the ashes of Kratos's deceased wife, Faye, and their journey up there.
Like I say, only in a game like God of War can just a journey up a mountain be that dangerous and exciting and treacherous.
Oh yeah, we've already had 2 boss fights, and we're like 3 episodes in.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, sir, for joining us tonight. And lastly, I want to welcome our very special guest, recently emerged from hibernation. He is the motion graphic headmaster, the hardest working fan in show business. That's right. Most importantly, he is the commander of the 918 Northern Command Post, the headmaster himself. Mr. Narwhal is with us tonight. Welcome, sir.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Thank you for joining us. Thank you.
Yeah, trying to stay warm and enjoying a little bit of time that the temperature actually got up to 40 the other day. So yeah.
Hey, now I have a coworker from the day job who's traveling up there because her mother lives up there. I don't know if she's in the Twin Cities. I think she's just in the Dakotas. But anyway, point is, one day, I think this weekend, you're going to be warmer than we are.
Yeah. I'm hoping that it stays nice and toasty. Get out of the house.
When you guys actually open the water parks, like August?
Are you saying 40 degrees is toasty?
Oh, for here? Yeah. Yeah, 40 degrees. We're running around in shorts and tank tops. Come on.
That's true. They are. That's right. And the worst part is at 49, the mosquitoes wake up, and those some bitches are like that big.
They are. Totally are.
Oh yeah, they're angry. They're like some Skull Island mosquitoes. I mean, they're like
Jesus.
Yeah, that's right. And ITV, to your point, the water parks stay open here year round. So
that's right, because they're inside.
They're inside.
To snow, to water, to snow, and it's just a year-round.
Well,
It's the
the only
circle
place
of life.
the circle of life. If nothing else, it's the circle of the law of thermodynamics, lack of a better term. So.
And you're going way high tech, man. This is not that kind of shit.
I know. Hey, I got to bring my A game, man. We got Narwhal on tonight. I'm doing the best I can here. So before we move on to our actual programming, I want to put another plug in for another piece of programming that airs tomorrow night. Everybody knows we've rebranded Sci-Fi Friday into our vintage genre program of Sci-Fi Friday. Or how would you say that there, IT Geek?
Sci-Fi Friday.
That's right. Woo, yeah, that's right. And for those who've been tuning in, we completed our run of Space 1999, and we've since decided to run as many episodes that are available of Babylon 5. I almost said it again. I almost did Space 1999.
Space Babylon 5, the next generation.
I'm gonna slap you around and wake you up over there.
I know. Damn. That tells what kind of night it's going to be. The episode we will be showing this week is entitled "And the Sky Full of Stars." And for people that watched last week, we had a little more character, intimate story with Londo falling in love. Well, this is a return to epic storytelling for Babylon 5, as Commander Sinclair learns exactly what transpired during the missing 24 hours of his life during the Battle of the Line, the last battle in the Earth-Minbari War. However, as with all things in the first 2 seasons of this show, the question is answered literally without all the context, and as a result, it's going to lead to about 3 more questions that everybody's going to have. But we will learn what happened. Yes. As always, I will be in the chat room sharing little anecdotes and factoids about the episode as it unfolds. So hopefully we'll have a lot of fun. IT Geek, Reverend, Your Eminence, are you planning on being in there tomorrow night?
My plan is to be there in full force. So yes.
Okay, Goldar, what about you?
Yes, I will be there.
Awesome. And I don't know if Madam Brunch and Bullets will join us or not. I know she's going to be on when she shows up. She's kind of like Bill Murray in that respect. She's the Bill Murray of our group. When she shows up, I guess you're going on the show tonight. So yeah. So with yes, I heard. As just in case I'm missing something, is anybody in the chat room with us tonight?
You know what? That is a great comment. I have the phone sitting over here. You know what's been the problem is that we haven't had any technical difficulties truly. So
Yeah.
there. And of course, that means of course we will eventually just be having those problems. So
Yes, exactly. Yeah, because it's
well.
we say we have 4 people watching, so unless it's just the 4 of us watching on our phones.
Well, as of right now, I'm not seeing any comments, but as we all know, when we try to track this, that doesn't mean anything. So all
exactly.
If you tuned in tonight, really appreciate you being here.
Hey! Booyah! Joss Whedon's one great contribution to Justice League. Booyah!
Okay, so basically, the Queen said, buddy, it's hard to hear you, so I'm going to need to get closer to the mic.
Okay. Yep. Oh, she's watching. Now they're all coming through. Robert Folks is here. And okay, what's the deal? That we had nothing and now everybody's here. So okay. Well,
floodgates are opening, bro.
Facebook had to just wake up a little bit.
That's right. Okay. Had to shake my phone. And everything like that. That's right. So I wonder about what did you say? What did you say, bro? It's awesome.
Gotta love it.
Gotta love it. Okay, so let's move right into the unfortunate first segment that we have to. Unfortunately, we only get maybe 2 weeks of not having to do, which is our RIP segment. First one up this week is Larry McMurtry. He was an American essayist, screenwriter, and novelist. He had many novels adapted into films. Now, I didn't know this. I mean, he had one called The Horseman Pass, which obviously it's Larry McMurtry. But he also had The Last Picture Show and Terms of Endearment were his. And he, yeah, I know. I was not aware of that as well, that Larry McMurtry wrote Terms of Endearment. And that was his novel. And he also, he was one of the smart people. When he optioned the screenwrites, he basically made sure he could write the screenplay. Of course, as we discovered, he could actually write a screenplay. He had 34 Oscar nominations for his material and 13 wins, which is pretty darn impressive. Yeah. Wow. And of course, and that's not even counting his most famous work, his Pulitzer Prize winning novel. Yeah. Yeah. Well, and again, we're just talking Oscars. His most famous work was his Pulitzer Prize winning novel, which he also wrote the teleplay for, which was Lonesome Dove.
Wow.
I mean, and I believe he did all the sequels as well. I'm not so sure about that, but yeah. He wrote the novel of Lonesome Dove, adapted it to television, and he wrote the sequel to Lonesome Dove when he was, which I cannot remember the name of. It's escaping me right now. But he was.
Was it like Return to Lonesome Dove, or like the Son of Lonesome Dove? Or
yeah, well, yeah, but it had like
or
another name, yeah, it had another. Anyway, he wrote that while he was in the hospital after having a heart attack, of all things, because he was depressed and needed to work through it. Something else I didn't know, and even though this is not his story, but I guess because he was, oh, hold on here. Bruce says he doesn't think our sound is working. I am hearing me.
Well, it wouldn't be a show if we didn't have some audio issues, right?
That is exactly right. So I just turned up the sound on my phone, and I heard us as well. Basically, Robert Folks just came in, not so Lonesome Dove.
Yeah, not so. Yeah, that was the sequel. Not so Lonesome Dove. Yes, just a cash grab. But something that I was not aware of. And again, he didn't. This is not his story, but he worked on the screenplay probably because of the genre he was most familiar with. He shared the Academy Award for the screenplay of Brokeback Mountain. I was not aware of that, but yeah. So he was. So anyway, our condolences go out to Mr. McMurtry's family. He had a very wide and deep resume. Our second RIP of the week is also to someone who has a very wide and varied resume, and that's to Jessica Walter, who passed away at the end of last week. She began her acting career in 1960, and as a result, again, she has a really wide body of work. But like a lot of stars, she got her start in all the stages staple shows of the day, like Mannix, Ben Casey, The Fugitive, all the things that none of the kids out there that are watching have any freaking clue what we're talking about. But it was her role. I think the thing that really propelled her to stardom was she played opposite Clint Eastwood in Play Misty for Me, and that propelled her, right over the top. By the way, 918ers. Apparently they cannot hear you, IT Geek.
Well, I don't know what to do here because I turned my phone up and I could hear me just fine. Hang on a second.
That is interesting.
IT Geek, are you a ghost? You're like Bruce Willis in that movie, where he's a ghost.
Yeah. What movie is that?
Element.
Fifth Element.
Wait. Bruce Willis is a ghost? Isn't that the
Fifth Element? Yeah.
Sixth Sense?
Yeah. What? Dude, I totally missed the point. Oh my God. Oh, Bruce said the sequel to Lonesome Dove was called Comanche Moon. Okay, so I am totally lost. I'm totally not thinking of
All right, so I'm
Buddy the Friendly Ghost.
Another test. Buddy the Friendly Ghost, the friendliest ghost.
All right.
All right. So how am I sounding now, people? I know you guys don't know, but this is what a couple of the watchers are doing. So this is what I get for trying to rebuild the scenes, trying to make this more efficient and more effective. That's what I get. Wait a minute. So.
How dare you, buddy?
I know. I'm trying to be efficient and just bites me in the butt.
Here's the thing. I can hear you just fine, IT Geek. I don't know.
I don't know. Anybody else out there?
I can hear him just fine.
Let me see something.
Can anyone not on the podcast hear Buddy tonight?
You know what? I'm thinking about just, going silent and I'll just run everything and you guys talk. I think this is what the internet's trying to tell us.
Well,
here comes Pistol. Pistol's coming up to let me know.
Oh shit. Okay.
So
we can hear him bark. We'll know.
Let's just press on. So
all right, let's press on. Okay. Exactly. Anyway, so she was propelled to stardom in Play Misty for Me. And does anyone know what cultural touchstone movie when we were teenagers was basically accused of being a remake of Play Misty for Me?
I do not know.
Fatal Attraction.
Really?
Right.
Yeah, I've heard if you watch Fatal Attraction and Play Misty for Me back to back, they were essentially the same movie. Which I didn't realize that till someone said that. I'm like, oh, I guess they are. But it's been a long time since I've seen Play Misty for Me. So, anyway, like a lot of let's say actors or actresses of a certain age, she was fortunate enough to kind of get a second career. Much like Leslie Nielsen and George Siegel, who we talked about last week. She did a lot of work on Arrested Development, and then she really became known as a famous voice actress. Most notably, she was the voice of Mallory Archer on the FX animated show Archer.
I loved her in that. It was hilarious. Love that show.
She
I wonder what
and what's really, and some people haven't. Well, and here's something I read, and Narwhal may know something I don't, but I heard that she'd basically completed all of her work for the upcoming season.
Okay.
So we will be blessed with one more season of her character, or her as that character before they move on. So, and which was interesting because I was wondering how animators and shows did. I didn't know if they did the animation first and then got the actors or what. But anyway, so I guess she did all of her voice work first. And now, but I have friends that they can't do that. Like they can't watch a show with an actor in it that has there's people that still haven't watched that Paul Walker Fast and Furious film that I know.
Huh.
Yeah. I mean,
one where basically it's like he has a cousin or a brother that looks very much like him. So he was a stand-in, and they did some CGI overlay and to make him stand in for Paul Walker, especially on the beach scenes. There were scenes where they really didn't do a lot of CGI. They just did a lot of far camera shoots and stuff like that, and he was similar enough that it wasn't as big as an issue, other than the car scene where he meets up with Dom and everything like that. So
Right.
Yeah, but I'm hearing in the next one though, his brother, cousin, whoever he is actually going to be in it, reprising the role of Brian. And I'm just kind of curious how that's going to go off. But that's for a future future cast.
Yes, it is. Yes, it is. So to kind of wind it back to the topic we were talking, Miss Walter is going to be sorely missed. She was a great talent. And again, Archer fans, you will get one more season of her as Mallory. So that being said, and we feel obligated to do this segment, but it's always kind of a downer. It's why we get it out of the way first. So let's do something worth celebrating. Celebrating a birthday. It turns 35 this week. Is one of Prince's most underrated masterpiece albums. That's right, folks. The Parade album. Otherwise known as the soundtrack to the less than memorable Under the Cherry Moon film, turns 35 years old today. So, guys, I'm going to tell you, it made me feel really old to know that Kiss was 35.
Yeah, when I found that out, I was like, man, it's kind of hard to take that into perspective that this is considered like one of the oldies now. I mean, when we were some of our kids' age, it's like mom and dad would put the oldies on, and they doing the twist from Chubby Checker, not the Fat Boy. We don't take that stuff. So, but I mean, it's like, oh man, to think that Prince's Kiss and that's it just blows my mind. It just blows my mind.
I know, but at the same time, it's a classic album. I think actually Narwhal actually said, and I'm gonna hand it off to him for a second. This is one of his like unsung masterpieces, I think.
Oh yeah, the album is absolutely great. I actually even really appreciate the film Under the Cherry Moon as well, just because
I do too.
It's a movie that dared to be something different when it originally came out. It was filmed in black and white. It was filmed as a semi-musical, and that's something that you didn't really see much in those days, whereas you see that a lot more today. Yep. And a lot of people also forget that it was the movie that introduced the world to Kristen Scott Thomas.
Yes, I was going to point that out. Yes, sir. It certainly was. And a bit of trivia, and I didn't know this for a long time. It was actually shot in color, and Prince made it black and white. That was his choice. Which of all the things, I always considered that to be. And Prince directed this movie, by the way. A lot of people don't know that. Which, my God, it's like, okay, dude, I want you to direct my movie. I mean, can you imagine Prince making a superhero film? I mean, he certainly had, and by that, I mean, he certainly had the visual aspect of filmmaking down. It's a beautiful film to look at. I mean, I just can't get over it. Yeah. And as someone who has read Morris Day's biography, if anyone's watched the movie, you know that Jerome is his co-star. And apparently, this was supposed to be a vehicle for Morris and Jerome, but because they'd had their falling out after the end of Purple Rain, Prince just decided to do it himself. And I always wondered what that movie would have looked like. I mean, instead of Prince. Yeah. I mean, because Prince kind of went for the whole Rudolph Valentino vibe, and the whole thing, but Morris would have just been Morris. I mean,
Get my change.
Yeah.
So
actually, go ahead, Dwayne. You were going to say something.
No. Go ahead. I'll ask my question here in a minute.
One of my favorite cinema moments is in this movie, which is the Rekisto scene. Does everybody? I mean, I know that Narwhal knows, but if he wants to buy a Sam Cooke album, where do you go? The Rekisto. Yeah, I mean, that is like one of the greatest comedy bits of all time, and it's not a great movie. It'll never, but it's kind of a cult classic, I guess, for lack of a better term. I'm really surprised there's not midnight showings of it. Well, back when we could do that. I'm sorry. Okay, Mr. Narwhal.
Yeah. So what's your favorite song from that album?
I don't know. If I had to pick, everybody always goes to Mountains or Kiss. My two favorite tracks on the album were Girls and Boys or Another Lever Hole in Your Head. And I don't know why, but the most ironic song, of course, is Sometimes It Snows in April, because that's the month he died in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's my favorite song out of the entire album. I thought that song really, helped to not only encapsulate, what the ending of that movie, but in a way, it sort of really encapsulated his life in general, I think.
Yes, it was. I mean, it was eerily prescient of how that all worked out. Again, like I said, it's not a great movie, but it's a fun movie.
It's a fun movie to watch and to sit back and enjoy. And I don't know. I mean, if you come across it and you've got a few hours just to kill, there's nothing wrong with sitting back with a good couple glasses of wine or some Crown or whatever, and just kind of enjoying it, enjoy the music of it. I mean, it's not like you're not going to come away enlightened by it at all, but it was just a fun movie to watch. And we got a few comments in the
Go ahead.
Chat room, so let me get that caught up if people can hear me. So Bruce Starr came in. Clint did it better. That was back, I believe, when we were talking about
Fatal Attraction and Play Misty for Me
in his movies. And then the Queen came back. You too would be considered an oldie now. Thanks, you babe. Really appreciate that. Yeah. And then Bruce is back to watching, and then we got Sebastian Calvi is now watching.
Oh, welcome to Fanboys 918 live stream. Well, and one more thing, I think Under the Cherry Moon's a better movie than Graffiti Bridge, as much as it pains me to say it. But it really is.
I don't know. I have a hard time agreeing with that just because I like the Graffiti Bridge soundtrack so much.
Oh, God.
And I don't know. I enjoy the music so much more on Graffiti Bridge, but the story's not very strong. But when Under the Cherry Moon, I enjoy the music and the movie. But I don't know. I think the music for Graffiti Bridge is a little more my jam, if you will.
And it's kind of interesting you say that, because he was, again, if you're a Prince aficionado, which a lot of us are, if you listen to all of his albums up through 1999, it sounds like a logical progression, right? Mm-hmm. Then he jumps into Purple Rain, like, whoa, this is like a rock album, and it's probably one of the most important albums ever done. Then he goes to Paisley to Around the World in a Day, which is basically a Beatles throwback. Mm-hmm. And then he jumps into Parade, which it's a very French art house, but it's got all different kinds of music on it. And then he goes from that, I believe, to Sign of the Times. Is that correct? With Sign of the Times and I mean, at that point, you're like, man, this guy is off the freaking chain. And to me, Parade was the first hint of, oh my God, what is this guy capable of? What's he not afraid to do? I mean, I know a lot of people think that Around the World in a Day was that, but that's still of a piece to me. I mean, Parade, you've got a funk jam like Kiss, and then you've got some sort of moody French sounding song like Do You Lie, and then you've got a song that has the drum tracks backwards like Christopher Tracy's Parade, and then again it's all over the place. It is a fantastic album. If there's ever one, they've been doing a lot of Prince re-releases of special editions. That's my vote. If there's a Prince album that deserves a special re-release with extra tracks on it, it's definitely Parade. So I think we spent way too much time on that, unless anyone has anything else they want to talk about.
I don't think we spent too much time on it, but I think you're correct. I mean, anytime we get some more Prince music, we should definitely take it and enjoy it.
Absolutely.
Like that. David Perryman's in the chat, so welcome, David. Appreciate you.
Welcome, David. Yeah. And my phone is obviously not picking this up, so good on you, man. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to turn it over to someone else to talk about our next topic, which I think is the Suicide Squad trailer.
I say Goldar picked this up. This is to tonight's chat, so let's go for it.
Man, so the Suicide Squad trailer that we got the other day, that was a fantastic trailer. But you know what? Like, how can you not expect something great from James Gunn? Like, even as
trailer, if you want to watch it real quick before we.
Oh yes, let's watch this trailer.
Cue that sucker up.
Right, so everybody, go ahead and mute up, and then I'll get the trailer started.
All right.
Super villains, sad souls in costumes, wanting you to think they're all dark and deep. What's it like? Living life as a punchline. But all it would take would be one blessed act of rebellion for you to restore your dignity in its entirety.
You know the deal. Complete the mission, you get 10 years off your sentence. You fail to follow my orders in any way, and I detonate the explosive device in the base of your skull.
Love him or hate him, these are your brothers and sisters for the next few days.
Any questions?
And?
Yes, that is your hand. Very good.
We're all gonna die.
I hope so.
Oh, for God's sake.
This is suicide.
Well, that's kind of our thing.
What the?
Nothing like a bloodbath to start the day.
They call you Peacemaker?
I cherish peace with all my heart. I don't care how many men, women, and children I need to kill to get it.
I thought you were the crazy one.
I am.
Well.
Here's the deal. We fail the mission, you die.
If we find out any information you give us is false, you die.
If we find out you have personalized license plates, you die.
What? No.
And there we go, gentlemen.
I gotta say, I'm gonna let Goldar take the helm again because that is not the trailer I was expecting. I've not seen that trailer till just now.
Oh, wow.
I actually checked on YouTube, and there's actually two trailers that are floating around.
Oh yeah, I guess I've seen the other one.
So this one was the one that came out last week, and then there was another one that came out the other day, and they have most of the same footage, but like there are like a few differences. Like there's like a different Peacekeeper joke that's in there. That's it. Basically, the one that came out this week was the Red Band trailer.
Yes.
Yeah.
But it gave us a big hint as to like what's kind of going on in the movie, which if you're a big DC Comics person, you spotted the big intergalactic starfish. That's that's the elephant in the room, essentially, that I think the whole movie is surrounded about. It's Starro.
Yep. So, I guess, Geek Boy, do you know who Starro is?
I've heard various things about Starro. I am not familiar with the original source material, but I'm like, what the fuck is this all about? Pardon my French. And I'm like, Starro? What is it? I mean, like, but again, given the non-Snyder verse tone that DC seems to have adopted lately on film, nothing they do surprises me. But given that, who would have thought that Shazam would be their most mellow movie?
Well, if I remember correctly, Starro actually made his first appearance in the Justice Society of America, and not Justice League.
Right.
And he actually has an offspring that you guys are going to laugh. He actually becomes
of course he does.
Sidekick for a while. Starro becomes the Boy Wonder in one series. Do you guys know this?
No,
I'm not familiar with this one.
Oh, yeah.
I am not.
Oh, yeah. And there was actually a debate online that basically Starro is actually the best Boy Wonder that's ever been. And I'm like, what kind of hell are we talking about here, people? This is Starro. But anyway, so but a bit of trivia. We'll see if you guys know. Do you guys know who's voicing King Shark in this movie? Have you heard yet?
Oh, I do.
I do. Narwhal, do you know?
Narwhal, do you know? So
Yeah,
fans, if
Yeah.
you don't know, it's a little bit of a treat here, and especially seeing him from the last Guardians of the Galaxy movie, to hear him in DC, and I do say hear him. Killer King Shark there is actually being voiced by Sylvester Stallone. So
which is great.
Yeah,
I love that.
I mean, you can hear the voice so well, especially if you know the name and everything. But it's great.
Yeah.
So
you know, I guess I'm gonna throw this out to the panel. Oh, go ahead. Okay.
No, he's just doing.
I was just saying.
I'm gonna throw this out to the panel. I was not a huge fan of the first Suicide Squad. I thought it was a huge missed opportunity. So it's going to take a lot to get my butt in a seat. But you guys seem to be way more excited about this. So I'm going to kind of go around the horn here. So Mr. Narwhal, are you excited about this, or are you kind of like me, you a little gun shy?
Yeah, I am excited about this, and the only reason for that is 2 words: James Gunn.
Okay.
Ever since he did Guardians of the Galaxy, that he has a golden touch. That he really understands genre filmmaking, and it's interesting because he came up like many other filmmakers of the day. He came up with Roger Corman, making really low budget films when he started off, and as not only Roger Corman but also what is that man's name? Lloyd Kaufman as well. In fact, Lloyd Kaufman actually had a cameo in the first Guardians of the Galaxy movie that a lot of people missed.
Oh, really?
But one of the really nice things about Gunn is that he really is faithful to his cast members, and he tries to bring them along to as many things as he does. So that's why you see, each film project that he works on, he brings the next set of actors along with him. So now, not only does he have Michael Rooker and Nathan Fillion, he's got his brother as well. He's got Sylvester Stallone, tons and tons of other people coming along for this one. And I would not be surprised to see a few of these people coming along with him to the next project.
Yeah.
Right.
Well, and he actually, I guess, even the little trouble he had way back when and stuff, even today's actors and stuff he works with, they're loyal to him as well. They understand that he made some mistakes along the way, and who doesn't? And he's owned up to it. He's, apologized for him, but he's ready to move on. And as we all know, I mean, you learn, you grow as you get older, and you make mistakes. But it's not about so much what you did in the past; it's what you do for the future. And I think his actors that he works with see that in him, and that's why he gets so much loyalty instilled in them, because he gives.
I agree.
Back.
Yeah, I agree.
Yep.
Yeah. I'm definitely looking forward to it, just because, again, just like Mr. Narwhal was saying, James Gunn is involved in it. It's going to be a different movie than what we got in the first Suicide Squad, which was kind of a mess. And then also, the DCEU's had some time to mature a little bit. It's starting to kind of figure out what it wants to be and what it wants to do with some of its directors and stories. And not only that, the cast is really good. Idris Elba, John Cena. We got Sylvester Stallone, just like we mentioned. So all of these, people coming together for this kind of bizarre movie that we'll probably get, but we'll also probably really love, just given what James Gunn has done with the Guardians of the Galaxy. Like, who the hell? I was gonna say, who the hell who thought Guardians of the Galaxy was gonna be great? Like, it was. I had never heard of them, and I love Marvel. Like, I knew a lot of the Marvel characters, like a lot of them, but I had never heard of any of them before the movie came out. And then all of a sudden, they're like one of the best teams to see on film. So I think we're gonna get another. We're gonna get another.
I was a Guardians of the Galaxy fan from way back when they
really?
first introduced. back when they first introduced Peter Quill and Rocket and Groot and Mantis was on the original team, as well as a character named Bug. So yeah, I was a fan of Guardians right from the get go, and I knew in my heart of hearts that if they ever figured out how to tap that storyline and those characters, they would have a gold mine. And
wow,
and I actually got to go to a special press screening of Guardians before it came out. It was a screening that they did where they basically did a quick preview for different people out in the community. 3D and the whole 9 yards. It was introduced, via video by James Gunn, and just walking out of that, I knew beyond a shadow of a doubt that they were sitting on a massive hit.
Wow, well, you were right. And the funny thing is, when I saw the very first teaser trailer, which by the way was very smart, when they showed the scene where they've all been arrested and they're running through, and they introduced the characters in the teaser trailer. Yeah. And of course, they're using the Hooked on a Feeling, to that. I watched that trailer, and I'll never forget. Turtle Gal and I looked at each other and said, "This is either going to be Marvel's first bomb, or this is going to make $1 billion." Didn't make $1 billion, but it was a huge hit. I mean,
yeah. Oh yeah. And I tell you, the soundtrack for it, for Guardians and stuff was phenomenal. Yeah. So I mean. Yeah. Everything hit for that movie, and that's and so again, I'm willing to give James Gunn almost any opportunity to impress me again. And so, though some people didn't like Suicide Squad, the first one, I didn't have really a lot of problems with it. Yes, it had some plot holes and all that, but I still enjoyed it. So I'm looking forward to the second one. What's kind of cool about it is they're definitely bringing in some like really no-name kind of heroes or anti-heroes and stuff.
Oh yeah,
that we kind of got that introduction through Guardian, and I think he's going to impress again with that by kind of tapping those veins of those unknown heroes that a lot of people aren't familiar with. So it kind of gives them an opportunity to be impressed with new information and new opportunities to see new stories.
Well, okay, so I've got to ask everybody in the room, which is this to me, this is the elephant in the room. And I'm not trying to diss on Idris Elba, but it's like, has anyone got an issue with the fact that we've gotten not Will Smith to play a not Will Smith character that seems to have every skill set that Will Smith's character had as Deadshot?
I think it's pretty amusing that they just kind of flat out replaced him with like almost like a clone type character in his place. I might be wrong, but did he say that his name was Bloodshot? So I'm not familiar with Bloodshot. I know there was Deadshot, but
it was that Vin Diesel movie.
Yeah, so I don't know exactly what character he's playing. I thought he was going to play what's his name, Golden Tiger or something like that. Basically, an ex-CIA FBI operative that he's kind of like a Punisher who his family gets killed, and so he goes on a vendetta on killing people, and basically, definitely oversteps some lines. He's willing to almost take out innocents to get to his target, and that's why he winds up in prison. That's who I thought he was going to be, but I was doing the research before the show, and it's escaping me on what character he is playing. So
he's playing Bloodsport.
Yes,
Bloodsport.
Okay, Bloodsport. I have not heard of that character.
Okay, me either. It's kind of funny. Go ahead. Yeah, I know the Queen's chimed in. Yeah.
Guardians was a great sleeper hit for me. It blew my expectations out of the wire. This next Suicide Squad looks a little like a hot mess for me, but James Gunn makes me want to give it a shot. So, once again, I think a lot of people are willing to give James Gunn that benefit of a doubt to get him in there.
Exactly. The Queen has echoed my thoughts on this 100%. I have nothing else to say about, because she basically echoed everything I had to say about it.
Nailed it.
So the funny thing is, the guy that was on Star Trek Discovery last season, I'm like, hey, it's bargain basement Idris Elba, and then and now Idris Elba's like, hey, it's bargain basement Will Smith. It's like, shit. It's like, come on now. So
So
not trying to diss Idris Elba. I like Idris, but
yeah. So should we throw our trivia out to the audience real quick before we go into?
Absolutely, I think so, because we're getting ready to move on to our segment that is very Northern Command Post centric. So yes, I think so.
So our trivia question for tonight is: who had the first movie? Was it King Kong and Godzilla, or Godzilla? And if you know the answer, you can put it in our chat window, and if you even know the year, throw that out there as well. But again, the question is who had the first movie, King Kong or Godzilla? And we'll go into tonight's main event.
Yes.
The main topic, if you will. We'll come back to our answer here in a little bit.
One thing we are excellent at doing here at Fanboys Unlimited is burying the lead. We do a fine job of that. I was going to say, that's right. That's right.
I was going to say, we're jumping from one movie with a giant star as a kaiju to another movie
with a kaiju,
with a couple of kaiju fighting each
as
other.
The star.
yeah, there you go.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, so Mr. Narwhal, do you want us to run your footage you shot yesterday, or how do we want to do this?
So basically, I went for the first time in a year to an actual brick and mortar movie theater, and this was my experience.
Okay.
And we are starting that now.
So tell me, who are you rooting for, Kong or Godzilla?
Kong myself. Yeah, definitely the big monkey. Godzilla.
Oh, Godzilla. I like Godzilla myself. So now you do know that if you have to go to the bathroom or you want to get a drink, they can't pause the movie like you do at home. We just have to set the expectations for everybody when they're going into this, So who are you rooting for, Godzilla or Kong? Kong, why is that? Kong's a badass. Sweet. Is this your first time back in the movies?
No, I've been back here before.
Cool.
That is awesome to actually see people back in the theater seeing a great movie like this.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely. So Mr. Narwhal, again, obviously we saw,
yeah. Yeah, so that was a 6 p.m. showing, and it was in a suburb of the Minneapolis Twin Cities area called Rogers. It's up in the extreme northwest metro area. The theater itself is it's from a chain called Imagine. I don't know if you guys have those down there or not. It's actually a relatively small chain. I think they only have maybe a dozen locations around the country at the moment. The location is, I won't say it's off the beaten path, but it's not in the heart of the metro. But even then, the theater was fairly well packed, from what I could tell. In what you saw there, it was no shortage of people waiting for soda and popcorn and stuff. And then when I actually got into the theater itself, obviously, There are there's lots of space available, for people to sit. It's one of those theaters that has the really nice recliners and reserved seating, and even then, in the big row that I was on, and it's their biggest screen. I would say probably they were at maybe 25% capacity, if that. But considering how many people are there in Rogers, as well as how many just movie theaters there are in this area, that's actually pretty good.
Okay, I was going to say, now, was it 25% by design? Like, are they still limiting capacity, or
yes,
was it just okay? All right, so
they are limiting capacity.
Okay.
And I also know that even with them limiting capacity, they're still not up to full speed yet. They still have, a lot of people who are just not going to the theaters as of yet. But, considering that it was, 6:00 on a Wednesday early evening, that was actually a pretty good crowd.
I was going to say that sounds encouraging, because I mean, I think, and then I'm going to turn it back over to the panel. I think we all agree that we exhibitors need a big event popcorn film to recover. And we talked, we kind of talked before we went on the air that, Tenet was kind of the test case for that, because of the type of movie that Tenet was. It maybe didn't work out like they had hoped, but this might be it, guys.
Who wants to be first? I guess Goldar, you want to go first?
Oh, no, you can go first.
Well, I don't know. I don't know if that's safe. I was a little underwhelmed by the movie, in a sense that I thought it was visually stunning. I mean, it was great to see. I got plenty of Godzilla this time. I think we've talked to this too.
Yes, you should be happy as shit.
I've always been really disappointed in the previous Godzilla movies, either because you never got to see him, or if you saw a hindquarter and his eyeball, and I never got to see full on Godzilla, and I definitely got to see it this time. But the human element they tried to keep introducing into the previous Godzilla movies, and I mean, I thought they did really good with it on Kong Skull Island, but the Godzilla ones, I don't know, there's just nothing that's been really endearing to me, and then the human element they tried to introduce on this one just did not strike any chord with me whatsoever. And I don't know, I not to talk bad about it, but the whole Millie Bobby Brown and the other characters that she was involved with, I never really got ingrained or involved in their story. It just kind of fell through. I mean, okay, we're breaking it. I guess we should put. Were we going to do spoilers here, or should we try to stay away from that?
This is the earliest review we've ever done of an event film. However, it's available on HBO Max. If there's any major spoilers, I think that we need to announce that. Like, there's one that I'm going to announce, but I think that people should be aware that we're going to be at least talking mild spoilers here for that, for lack of a better term.
So,
granted, how big a spoiler can you get? King Kong and Godzilla freaking fight, okay?
Right. Right.
The spoiler is that they kiss and make up at the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
They're all hugs and rainbows. And
both of them have a mother named Mothra.
Dude,
Save Mothra.
Why did you say that?
Why did you say that name?
A couple quick things. Mary Keaton's watching. Welcome, Mary. And then
hey, Mary.
Or I can't go outside that airport window on Hawaii.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yes.
But we did not have that in this one. So, just a couple of the human storylines, like Skarsgård's story. I thought that was really reaching. I mean, I really didn't see what value he brought as this scientist. And then, and then, like I said, Millie Bobby Brown's segment in the movie, she really didn't do anything. in my.
Well, I'm gonna jump in here real quick because I'm a huge Millie Bobby Brown fan. I love her in Stranger Things.
Yes.
I thought she
Even
would
in
did.
Enola Holmes, she's great.
She was. Oh yeah, yeah. I forgot. I totally forgot that for a moment. And I'm gonna dovetail into something
or an actor, or however you want to.
I'm gonna dovetail into something that Bruce said. He said you really didn't have time to get involved with the characters. The movie was fast paced. The movie was about the monsters, and he's exactly right. And in my opinion, as it should be. We'll get into. I'm going to get into my review in a minute, but I'm going to say this and kind of dovetail back into what we think about exhibitors for a moment. But given what the IT geek said, that's relevant to that conversation. As much as I love Millie Bobby Brown, and she was one of my favorite non-monster parts of Godzilla King of Monsters, she kind of got on my nerves in this movie. I mean, I don't know if it was bad direction or her performance was a little obnoxious, for lack of a better term. I keep remembering this scene because I actually got a chance to watch it twice yesterday. Narwhal couldn't do that. I just had
versus home.
I just had to sit in my chair and go, I'm gonna watch that shit again. Click. but there's a scene where they're meeting up with a third. Basically, and this is I don't know. I don't know if this is, I won't call this a spoiler because it's in some of the press material. There's a Team Godzilla and a Team Kong, for lack of a better term. Exactly. And they're recruiting, and she's recruiting another member of Team Godzilla, and she leans over the table to talk. And it's like, okay, are you trying to be seductive or are you trying to be It's like, it was like this really awkward moment knowing that Millie Bobby Brown's like 9 years old, which she's not, but still, I'm like, you're 11 on Stranger Things, and now you're leaning over this table trying to look somewhat sexy, and I'm like, this is really creeping me out, okay? And then she does a couple other moments that are just kind of obnoxious, for lack of a better term, and which really disappointed me because I love her. I love her to death. I'm going to chalk it up to bad direction. So, given what the Reverend IT geek said, and what I said, and I'm Narwhal, and then I'm going to jump to Goldar. Is this the movie that's going to put butts in seats? You think this is going to be the one to bring it? Because exhibitors are hurting. I mean, they're dying. I'm thrilled for anything that may bring people back.
So I don't know that this is going to be the silver bullet, but I think that this is going to be the movie that puts the first crack in the dam. Okay. Here's the thing about Godzilla movies. They are a very niche kind of movie, more so than science fiction or fantasy. Mm-hmm. You either get a Godzilla movie or you don't get a Godzilla movie.
Oh, before you go any further though, I'm gonna save that comment for a moment. So keep going.
Okay.
I'm sorry, keep going, but I want to.
So when you're looking at it, it's a case of this, I think, will be sort of the first foray for a lot of people going back to the theater. But I think, it's going to take something like a Marvel movie that has a really wide appeal to really sort of demolish that dam. But I think this is going to be the first time that we actually see people coming back. And in fact, the box office on this really bears that out. This has been the biggest release post-pandemic. It made almost $7 million in its opening day, and it's on target to do between 30 and 40, which is
I would love it to do 50. I would love it to do 50. Mm-hmm. It's done really well overseas, but again, as everybody knows, and again, not to turn the podcast into something that's not, they were dealing with the pandemic sooner than we were. So by logic, they've kind of put the thing on its heels before we have, regardless of how everyone thinks it was handled. But I mean, bottom line is those countries over there have kind of dealt with it and got it, on the routed it, for lack of a better term. So people are a little more comfortable in going back. That's kind of my test. Is I don't know. I don't think it's so much the streaming as it is, are people comfortable going back to a movie theater?
Yeah. Well, and then to your point about the overseas box office, you also have to remember too that for places like China and Japan, Godzilla is a national treasure.
Yes, he is.
And they view kaiju films in a different way than we do here.
Yes.
And there's a lot of love for the original, King Kong versus Godzilla. And so it's really nice to see sort of not only the homages that were in this movie, but there's also a lot of thematic homages and even very specific things in this new film that really play to the history of Godzilla films.
Correct. Goldar, I'm going to jump to you real quick. So what's your thoughts on movie theaters and all that kind of stuff in general? So go ahead.
So yeah, I don't think this will be the one that brings people back. Just like Mr. Narwhal saying, this is kind of a niche film for American audiences, or at least this side of the globe. Whereas overseas, like these giant robots and giant monsters, like it does well over there. So I don't think this is going to be the movie, but I think it's going to be one of the first blockbuster movies that people are going to be kind of interested in seeing how it turns out. So I think we're still a little bit ways away. I think we need something that's a little bit more toned down as far as like a blockbuster that's going to really put some butts in some seats. And I think we'll probably see more of those like when the summer season really kicks in, before people really start coming back to the movie theaters. So.
Okay. Hey, IT Geek, we got a lot of stuff going on in the chat room. You want to look at that?
Caught up here. So,
sure, yeah.
So we'll go all the way back to the Queen here. We'll go back to Brostar here.
Yeah.
You didn't have time to get involved with the characters. The movie was fast-paced. The movie was about the monster. I think we agree with that and everything.
Yeah, I agree with that.
The Queen came back. He's beautiful. That's what he brings. Skarsgård.
Yes.
Brostar came back. Skarsgård was riding his it wave. And then Brostar came back with, they just needed Brown for her Stranger Things cred, which I kind of
doesn't hurt. I agree with that.
He's also answering to you, Geek Boy. It's creeping you out because you looked. And then Brostar came back. It all depends on.
He may not be wrong.
The holdouts are waiting to see just how many people start showing up. And then finally, Brostar came. Tom Cruise is watching its performance with interest. He's got a lot lined up.
Yes, he does. Yep. He's exactly right. So, IT Geek, you want to factor in on movie theaters as a whole before we kind of dive into the movie itself, or do you have any comments you want to make?
So I'll kind of I'll agree. I'm not going to kind of. I agree with Narwhal and Goldar about that. This could be a crack in the dam before it really breaks open. The movie is very niche, like everyone has said. Mm-hmm. It's fun to watch. I mean, it's probably the first movie that we as a family have watched together in a long time, but in the comfort of our home versus at a theater. I think at the end of it, we were happy to have seen it at home and not in a theater. But again, it was interesting. There's a couple of scenes that I would have loved to see on the big screen, and the TV just did not do its justice.
100%.
Especially like the fighting on the carrier, and then possibly.
Oh my God.
And that's not saying anything because obviously the promotions out there are showing that they are fighting on a helicarrier right there. So I'm not spoiling anything like that. And then there's a couple of other scenes that I thought were really cool where you saw King Kong, basically galloping through the forest and stuff like that I thought was really cool. So there was a lot of things I liked about it, but I think just a little bit more on some things that I just didn't think worked. And I think it's that kind of word of mouth that's going to probably scare some people off from going to the theaters, and they're like, well, I'm not going to risk spending my money to do it. I'm going to watch HBO Max and see if I agree. And then like, I want to see that big screen, or no, I'm happy seeing it here on HBO Max. So I guess we can kind of dive into the true movie, and I guess this is where the spoilers will begin, unless you had some comments about the theater and stuff.
No, actually, I agree with kind of what everybody on the panel said. kaiju films are a niche. However, the first Godzilla did really well. I know that IT Geek is kind of the lone holdout on the panel who didn't like it. I enjoyed it, but the funny thing is, and when I actually get into my review of the movie, you don't review a kaiju movie like you do, Terms of Endearment. To harken back to earlier in the, or even a lot of other things. I have several criteria that I look for in a kaiju film, and the first Godzilla actually violated every single one of them, alluding to Bruce Starr's comment, which you saw cankle at the the Hawaiian airport. But I did like it, and the other ones in the MonsterVerse have basically taken that note, and boy, have they gone all in with it. So, that being said, there were times I was watching it going, man, I would love to see this on the big screen. And unlike what, and just to kind of put everything in reference, all the prestige theaters in Tulsa, in the Tulsa 918 area, are still closed. Like the place where I would have probably chosen to see this is the Warren, and it's still shut down. So I'm like, well, I can't see it on the best screen I could see it on. We probably could have gone to Cinemark, but I'm like, I'm gonna watch it here. If I can't see it at the Warren, I'm not leaving, for lack of a better term. So I'm sure that's probably not doing the box office any favors. But it looks like the Queen is Team Kong. I know that there's another comment from the Bruce Star here.
Bruce came in. You can see where they must have thought, how can we not make this like Pacific Rim, but then just make it the way we want.
Okay, so that you know what? I'm going to use that as a dive into my personal review of the film. Okay. So first of all, and kind of piggybacking on what I said about the first Godzilla violating all my kaiju rules, this did not. Godzilla King of the Monsters did not. Kong Skull Island did not. But here's the thing: one of the things I want to see in a kaiju movie is I want to see some freaking kaiju fighting and tearing a bunch of shit up, okay? And I want to see a bunch of shit in the daylight, and I want to see this thing I want these things to gloriously embrace what they are. As a result, I want to give the filmmakers of all the Warner Brothers MonsterVerse credit, because they've really tried to inject it with some human characters and do some story and whatnot. And as a result, it's just like, hey, okay, fine, it's great. I want to see some stuff get, but we've all seen from the 90s Godzilla, when that's done wrong, how if they don't do enough human characters or do them cheeky like they did, it doesn't work. So in that respect, I will give the Warner Brothers MonsterVerse, the legendary MonsterVerse, however you want to look at it, credit for trying to create human characters that have some kind of relevance to the plot. That being said, this movie gets a thumbs up from me because it lived up to its freaking title. It's Godzilla versus Kong, and boy, did we get Godzilla versus Kong. We got Kong on Skull Island. We got Kong on the ocean, as we see in the poster back there. We got Kong fighting Godzilla several times in the daylight, and even when they fought it, because a lot of times when they do this stuff at night, it's to hide dodgy CGI or bad editing or whatnot. There's a fight, and I don't think I'm spoiled. This might be a minor spoiler. 4, 3, 2, 1. There's a fight between Kong and Godzilla in Tokyo at night, but because of Tokyo's neon skyline, it created a lot of really cool lighting and a lot of really cool stuff. So that was great. The one thing I think a lot of people are going to have a problem with is this is basically a King Kong movie with Godzilla as a guest star, and that was something that I found kind of weird and off-putting.
I'm wondering if
on the other hand,
one that went overseas, was that reversed? They've been known to do
that's a good question. I don't know.
So
it was not. I actually have some information on this. Do you mind if I jump in here with this?
No, go ahead. Yeah.
Okay, so here's the thing, right? When the director and Warner's for all the Godzilla movies, when they got the rights to do Godzilla, obviously Toho has specific requirements for how you use their characters. And one of the very specific requirements for Godzilla is that Godzilla does not emote. Godzilla is a force of nature. So when you see Godzilla in these movies, he's there. He's a character, but he's not somebody who is, for the most part, being an emotional driver or an emotional character in the film.
Right.
Hence the reason why every director who's ever made a Godzilla film has to put in the random human characters and the human subplots in order for it to actually have some sort of emotional connection and emotional storyline. With Kong, that's not the issue here. You're right. This is King Kong's movie, especially when you consider that, Kong is the protagonist for pretty much everything that happens all throughout the movie. You're seeing his journey from where he starts on Skull Island to where he has his various confrontations with King Kong throughout the movie. And then at the end, everything wraps up. And the character is in a new status quo.
Right.
And that's also why you see the other characters in the film, the Millie Bobby Browns, the Alexander Skarsgårds, they're not as well developed and there's not as much time given to them simply because they are supporting characters. They're secondary characters in this.
Yeah.
And their story does not carry the film. It's that story of Kong, because Kong can emote. Kong, as we see in the film, Kong has an emotional.
I say he has an arc. I mean, he has a freaking arc in the movie, for God's sake.
He does.
I mean, yeah,
he absolutely does. And we've never really seen that in a Godzilla film before, because this is the first Godzilla film that we've had a kaiju that does have an emotional component.
And I'm going to say this, and this will be kind of my funny thing, and then I'll release it to both you and Goldar and IT Geek. So I found, watching a kaiju film, as I said, if I ever get a Robotech movie, I'm sure I'm probably going to have to do the same thing. But it's kind of like watching Pacific Rim or some other things. I'm watching this, and like there's a scene again. This is a minor spoiler, but you can see it in the poster there, where King Kong and Godzilla fight on an aircraft carrier, right? Kong leaps onto this aircraft carrier. And I mean, the physics looks amazing. It hits, it sinks, the planes go everywhere. Then Godzilla climbs on top of the aircraft carrier. And I had the gall to look over at Turtle Gal and say, hey, you were in the Navy. Could an aircraft carrier do that? And she looked at me with the eye, and her face literally said, dude, you have accepted the concept of a giant ape fighting a giant lizard, and you're going to ask me if a freaking aircraft carrier can support their weight. I'm like, yeah, okay. Okay, true. So I have to admit, you kind of have to decide going in. I mean, even though I thought I had, but apparently I hadn't, totally gotten there. That being said, one of my complaints about Godzilla King of the Monsters, and I saw that with the Brewstar, who's actually on the chat, we saw it in IMAX on a cruise ship, and sound picture wise was amazing. I felt like that movie kind of overstayed its welcome a little bit. Okay. On the other hand, this movie, it's like it kept showing me stuff on the human side. I'm like, wait, I want to see more of that. Like we have, for lack of a better term, an underground complex that I found very interesting. We have a secret organization besides Monarch that I found very interesting. It's like they kept showing all these things that I kept like, whoa, I want to see more of that. And it kept me wanting more. So hopefully the MonsterVerse will continue to grow and get bigger. But my thing is, it's a flawed film, but for a kaiju film, it met every requirement that I liked. And so I have to give it a thumbs up. Kaiju films are a niche mark, but you're getting a thumbs up from the Geek Boy. It's only an hour and 58 minutes. So if you like it, you can turn around and watch it again, like I did. Or if you don't care for it, it's only an hour and 58 minutes. So I would say check it out. And by the way, one last thing, the CGI character of Kong is amazing. I've never seen a CGI character realize it's good since maybe Gollum from Lord of the Rings, or maybe Groot. So that's it for me, folks. That's all I got to say. I'm gonna pass it off to Narwhal and then down to Goldar. So
I was going to say, yeah. I mean, the Kong. Go ahead.
Oh, hold on.
Everyone cut up on the
Yeah,
sorry,
yeah.
hold on.
So, as we said, the Queen came in with Team King Kong. She also came in with,
Yes.
I think he got the axe made in Midlavir. I'm not saying if I don't know if I'm saying that correctly or not. Basically, where Thor God was. So you got to love that the Queen actually knew that. So kudos to her. I got a great wife. Bruce Star came in. It was in Hong Kong, and then Godzilla could have won it at the carrier.
Yeah, my bad.
Can't swim. So I must have missed that. So anyway, all right. So looks like now we'll have to wait again. So
one other thing, because I want to. Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead. So go ahead, Reverend.
I was going to say, I don't know if we lost Narwhal or Goldar. We lost their pictures. You guys still there?
Yeah, they look like they're still here. Oh,
I'm still here.
Yeah, they're both still here.
Okay, all right.
Yep.
Okay, so one final thing, and this is probably the biggest spoiler I'm going to give. So if you don't want to hear this, mute your stuff for 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Here we go. There is a third kaiju, classic kaiju, that appears in the film. And while I personally didn't really have an issue with it, I guess that's one of the biggest bones of contention I've heard is the design of this character, if you will. Do you guys want me to say who that is, or do you want me to hold it back?
It has actually been in the last trailer. So
okay,
I think
all right.
I think it's fair game.
Okay, fair enough. Mechagodzilla. Yeah, Mechagodzilla made an appearance, and I just from some rumors I heard, I knew that it was going to make an appearance there. So if you're mildly interested in this film, you may have heard this. A lot of people had an issue with the design of Mechagodzilla. It does look like a Michael Bay Transformer. I'm not going to lie, which I wish it hadn't have. But overall, I didn't have an issue with it. So having all said that, I'm gonna now. I promise I'm not going to say another word for the next 2 seconds.
1,000, 2, 1,000. Well, I gotta say, I mean, I have been a fan of the Godzilla films ever since the original. I grew up watching them. I actually own the entire series. I even saw Shin Godzilla in the original Japanese when it hit theaters. I even did a set visit to the set of Kong Skull Island back in 2016, and got to see some of the behind the scenes stuff there. And I have to say, aside from Kong Skull Island, this is probably the best kaiju film we've had in quite some time.
But the real
I liked the film. I think there was one particular thing that kind of took me out of it, which I'm sorry, say that again.
Oh, I just said it was like the real test, though. Did you used to watch the cartoon Godzilla with Godzilla?
IT Geek, you there?
You there, IT Geek? I hope so, because you're hosting the chat.
I've got.
We're locked up.
Well, I'll just. So, I liked it. I thought, initially at first I thought, well, this was kind of suffering from those, typical Michael Bay Transformers films where it was like you see the humans and then they go back to the robots, but then it's like I'm not getting enough robot time here. But then, I had to sit back and think about it. I'm like, the central focus. Here we go. Let's get some Godzuki back in this.
That's what bad thing is. That looks.
I think
like
you're breaking up a little bit, at least on my side.
Yeah.
But so just like Mr. Narwhal was saying, I think they did a great job of pulling back on the human element of things and said, okay, so let's kind of give them a little bit of story, but mostly focus on these characters, because literally all the humans did nothing in this movie. We had Kyle Chandler's character come back from Godzilla King of Monsters, and he did nothing.
Oh,
absolutely
yeah,
nothing.
that was a cameo.
Yeah. I'm like, I don't know why he's in this. But then we had Millie Bobby Brown's character come back, and I could hear you then. IT Geek.
Hang on a second. We had some outages, and looks like we're finally getting back into it. I don't know what happened, but let's see here. I don't know where we left off.
Okay.
I'm watching the video.
Yeah, the problem is trying to get those electronic signals all the way up to the mighty cold north.
Yes.
It's gotta be, so.
Actually, no, they're going down to the hollow earth and bouncing back.
Yeah.
That's it.
Okay, so it looks like we are back. I'm looking at the camera.
I see movement now, so that's a good thing.
We are good. So my apologies. I was trying to. I don't know what happened. It just all seemed to lock up, but it looks like it cleared up. So
okay.
Guess who's back? Back again.
Yeah.
That was exciting.
Yeah,
wasn't it?
not that.
So,
back again.
Back again.
That's right.
back again. So, all right.
My thing is, who the hell's on the interwebs at 9:20 at night besides us? Shit.
Exactly right. So anyway, where do we live off?
So I was talking about the human element in the movie. It probably could have been better had they cut some of the characters out. Like, we didn't really need probably half of those characters, because literally no one did anything, and then cutting half of them off and then giving a little bit of story to some of them probably would have boosted the film better. There was also a connection to one of the characters that we very briefly met, to a character that was in previous Godzilla movies, and they didn't connect those two at all, really, in a really tangible way. So that was kind of disappointing there.
Yeah, that would have been nice.
Yeah, and then there was one thing that kind of took me out of the whole movie, which actually kind of two things, which I'm gonna give an alert before I dive into that. I'm gonna give a 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Turn it off now. All right. So the thing that took me out of the movie, which, mind you, we're watching a giant movie, or a movie about two giant creatures out of nowhere fighting each other, and then going down to a hollow earth. Like, how ridiculous could this movie get? But the thing that took me out of it was the fact that they were able to take the radiation signal that they found in the hollow earth and then email it to the supervillain, and then they were able to synthesize it at the drop of the hat and then put it in the giant robot.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, I can get on board with everything else, but that was, I don't know about that. I don't know about the science on that.
Yeah.
And then the other thing that kind of threw me out a little bit too was that the fact that they used Ghidra's head to pilot the robot, which I couldn't get on board with. Like, how is this biomechanical? How's the radiation working with the skull and then working with the giant robot, and then it killed the guy? And then I was like, wait a minute, like, I don't understand. Like, is this?
I want to say Godzilla versus Mechagodzilla 2. The Mechagodzilla in that one was actually created from the bones of the original Godzilla from the film in '54, and it sort of, bonded with the robot inside of there, and then became sort of self-aware and started to wake up. So that's actually an element from the old style Godzilla movies.
Okay.
Wow.
Okay.
Okay.
See, I probably would have been on board a little bit more if they had said, like, okay, well, we're gonna like clone Godzilla, and then we're gonna put some mechanized parts on him and make it cyborg Godzilla. But of course, that would have been a totally different character at that point, and probably wouldn't have been very good. But I still would have bought it a little bit more than that. But other than that, the fight scenes are great. The computer generation for the characters was amazing. We finally really got to see who was the baddest in town in that second to last fight there.
Yeah.
And I thought it was a fun film to watch overall.
Yeah. I was never bored.
Yeah. It's hard to get bored during this movie. I feel like Godzilla King of Monsters, like, the plot in that one was really, really kind of suffering, in that it was You know, like, okay, that doesn't make sense why you're doing all of this. Whereas this one, it did make sense what they were doing. They just kind of asked you to just kind of go with it, which is fine. If they just kind of make you leap and bound and just go with the plot and just go with the thing, and then.
And I have another spoiler I want to say, which I thought was fantastic.
Okay.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Okay. So there's a moment where the main supervillain is monologuing. and let's just say because of circumstances he doesn't get to finish that monologue. And I thought it was fantastic because like one of the other characters, damn, I was really wanting to hear the end of that speech. How self-aware is this movie? I thought this is really great. So again, they're not making this movie for Academy consideration. Okay, let's just get. But it was fun. I mean, it was a fun ass movie, and like kind of like what Goldar said, the plot didn't seem to meander all over the place. Although I'm sure some people are going to be miffed, like I said earlier, that it's more of a Kong movie with Godzilla as a guest star. And also the fact that we spend a lot of time with Team Kong and not near as much with Team Godzilla. But I'm kind of with the Bruce Star. I love the Hollow Earth stuff. I mean, even though it's wacky, but it seems to make sense in this monsterverse they've created. The only question I had is, where's that sunlight coming from? That's the only question I had. But again, harkening back to my earlier comment, Hines, you've already accepted the idea of a giant gorilla fighting a giant lizard. Don't bring
Your
physics into
argument
this.
is invalid.
Yeah. Thank you. So, anyway, somebody's got to tap out. Keep breaking up. Oh,
yeah, we're breaking up a lot here. I'm trying to watch it.
Was that? Hopefully, that was not. I think that was IT Geek tapping out.
That was the no! Can you guys hear me?
Oh no!
Still there?
Hang on.
Come in, 918. Are you there?
Yeah. Hello. Oh, yeah, I can hear you. Yes, as a matter of fact, we can. Well, that's unfortunate.
So, okay, I'm back now. So, can you guys hear me now?
Damn Facebook.
I don't think it's Facebook.
Yeah, you heard me, Facebook.
So, can you guys hear me? Yes, no?
Yes, you got a little bit of a delay, but yes, we can hear you.
So I don't know if it's my internet over here.
I got you.
But basically, yeah, we're breaking up a lot. We're getting a lot of paused frames on our cast and stuff like that. So I don't know what you guys want to do. We can try to keep on pressing, but I think it's just
Bruce said, "Don't let science ruin a good story." Yeah, I can hear you. Yeah, I love Bruce said, "Don't let science ruin a good story." That's the motto that hangs over the door of the Star Trek Discovery writers' room.
Oh wow. So anyway, so let's see here. Doesn't make sense. Why?
Okay.
Yeah, we're just having too many technical difficulties at this point, and I'm probably gonna have to reboot the router and stuff. So if anything, we probably should just go ahead and start to wrap it up. I do.
Yeah.
It looks like Terry just said, "Buddy, you're breaking up a lot." So yeah.
Yep. So the film was.
Derek, you still there? Am I
still
there?
Yeah, let's wrap this up. So I'm going to go with Goldar, then I'll go to Narwhal, and then I'll close this out. So, Mr. Goldar, final thoughts on Godzilla v. Kong?
I think it was a great popcorn movie. Really fun to watch. I think it's worth watching in HBO Max and or watching it in the theater. I would say if you're just looking for just something that just like turn your brain off and just enjoy like a straight movie, like a popcorn movie, this is definitely worth going to the theater to sit and watch. Don't dive into the science of it like I did too much. I mean, again, we're watching giant monsters fight each other, so diving into the science is a bad idea going into this.
Yeah,
but it is a fun watch.
Narwhal, did this meet your expectations for a kaiju movie? I know you're a fan.
Oh yeah, absolutely. To echo what Goldar said. Yeah, you're not going into a Godzilla movie to find, a movie that's going to win Best Picture. No, they only do that in Japan, actually. No, actually, the last Godzilla film, Shin Godzilla, actually won Best Picture in Japan.
Wow, good for it.
Yeah. Yeah, but definitely if you're looking for something fun, go see this one. And let's be honest, even if you're sort of on the fence, find a theater, go to the theater, because until the studios see that we're willing to go back to a theater, we're not going back to the theater at all.
Right.
Go to the theater. Doesn't matter if it's something that you're absolutely dying to see. If you want to see great films on the big screen, you got to go see great films on the big screen.
Absolutely. Okay. Well, I think that the Reverend is locked up. I'm hopefully that we're still gonna get this out there, but I kind of echo everything that everyone said. I think that the three of us enjoyed the movie more than he did. But that being said, I kind of just going to ape what they said. No pun intended. It's a great, fun popcorn movie. I would rank it up there with Michael Bay's first Transformer movie as far as something you can go into and just not worry about the science of, and just, embrace it. And it's a good, fun movie to watch. It doesn't overstay its welcome, which is, I think, really important. And that being said, I think Godzilla v Kong is a great, fun movie, and whether you watch it on HBO Max or whether you watch it in the theater, you're going to have a good time. Again, we all want to see theaters come back. So if you can see it in the theater, and if you're satisfied with the presentation you will get, absolutely go see it there. So that being said, I'm IT Geek. I'm sorry, I'm the Geek Boy. The IT Geek's having trouble right now, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Peace.